Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Whether you think there could be food shortages or not, let's talk about what are the food storage mistakes that are commonly made by people who are preppers or people who want to have some extra food in their pantry, food on hand so that you can continue to make meals for your family no matter what the day brings. The first mistake that people make is that they buy food they don't necessarily want to eat. Don't buy food you don't care to eat. Stock up on food that you do enjoy eating. Wouldn't you rather go into your pantry and find food that you enjoy eating rather than foods you don't care to eat? The day is going to be more comfortable if you have foods that you do want. People will argue with you that if you're hungry, you'll eat anything, and that is simply not true. People that are survivors would eat anything, but there are a whole lot of people who won't eat things that they're not familiar with, they don't enjoy eating, they don't like the texture. There are all kinds of reasons people won't eat certain kinds of food. And to just assume, oh, you'll eat it if you're hungry enough, that is simply not true. That's something to think about. Besides, why would you want to try to make your family or yourself eat something you don't enjoy when your option is to store something that you would be willing to eat? It doesn't make sense to stock up to make your life a hardship when it could be more enjoyable. Another mistake that we can avoid is, what if you cannot go to the store? Do you have enough food in your home that you can make meals for a week or for 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Think about it. If you don't have food on hand, that is a mistake. That if something happens, you can't go to the store or you don't have the money to go to the store, then you don't have food on hand. You are allowing yourself to go without and to have a hardship situation simply by not preparing and not adding a few things into your food stockpile every time you go to the store. Maybe you want to get a bag of cereal, some extra shelf-stable milk. You can buy the milk that can live in your pantry that's in a cardboard box, the UHT milk. Just having cereal and milk can give you a meal. Get a box of granola bars, a few cans of soup. There are all kinds of foods that are simple to eat, that are inexpensive, they're palatable, and you can have them on hand so that you could have breakfast, lunch, and dinner going forward no matter what the day brings. Make sure that you're choosing wisely and that you're having extras on hand. I always think every extra can or package of food that I have in my pantry is an extra meal in the future. You're also buying it at less expensive dollars today because the price of food keeps going up. The food that you're buying today is going to be a bargain in the future when you go in your pantry and you can shop in your pantry rather than going to the store. And there could be things that happen that you can't go to the store. Don't let that be a mistake that you don't have anything on hand that you can provide those basic meals. Another mistake that people make with their food storage is not storing food properly. It needs to be stored cool, dark, and dry. The better you store your food, the longer it lasts. You want to try to not store it in your crawl space of your house. Maybe it floods there. You don't want to put it in your attic because it gets so hot. If you just have a shed in the backyard, that's not a good place to store your food because the temperature is not controlled. It can be challenging, especially if you live in some climates where the weather is very hot and humid. It can be a challenge to figure out where you can store your food, and so sometimes you may have to rotate it more frequently because it isn't going to last as long. But the better you store your food and you think about it and plan, the better results you're going to have. Another mistake that preppers make is not storing your food in the proper types of containers. There are many foods that need to be repackaged once you bring them home. If you bring home packages of, say, grains, grain already has little weevily things inside the grains themselves. It's not something that could be infesting them, but they need to be eliminated. And one way to do that, especially if you live in a warm, humid climate, is put those grains in the freezer for a few days so that it will kill any of the bugs that are in there. Then you want to get that food out of the freezer and allow it to come back up to room temperature and then put it into an airtight container, whether it's a Mylar bag, a 5-gallon bucket, a jar that you just reused yourself. Even a clean pop bottle you can store grains in those types of containers because they're airtight. As long as you clean them very well, make sure they're dry, and then look on the bottom to make sure that they are recyclable, food safe, and never put food into containers that held anything but food. Don't ever store like a chemical bottle. Don't put food in anything like that. And some containers, say like a milk jug, those you can never get clean enough. They're not strong enough, so don't use those kind of containers either. Another mistake that people make is that they buy cans of food or packaged food and then just put it away and never look at it again. Food that you store needs to be food that you're willing to use, rotate, and replace. Canned foods, packaged foods don't last forever. They can last for several years, but not indefinitely. Canned food has a date on it, and the food will last until that date, and lots of times it will last longer, but not forever. And if you look at the cans, the way they're manufactured these days, they are simply not as strong and heavy duty as they used to be. Cans get dented before you even bring them home from the store. It's unbelievable how crummy the cans are, and so the food is simply not going to last because your container isn't strong enough. So you want to make sure that you're buying food that you're willing to eat, you use it, rotate it, and replace it. Another problem is people who have no food at all. I know I had friends during the pandemic, they didn't have a single can of soup, of nothing in their house because they would go to the store every day or go out to eat. They had an emergency on their hands that could have easily been avoided by already having a few things on hand. We don't want to find out that there's a problem and our cupboards are bare. We also don't want to find out that there's an emergency and our food is not fit to eat anymore because it's expired or the cans are leaking or we didn't seal it in an airtight container and it got spilled on, or weevils got in it, or it just got stale, or who knows, critters got in and chewed on it. The most important item that you should make sure you have in your food stockpile is water. We have to have water to live. All of this food could require cooking. You may need water to prepare the food. You're also going to need some water for drinking and for washing up some of the dishes. So be prepared. Please make sure that you're also stockpiling water. Water doesn't have to be expensive. You can fill up containers that you've cleaned yourself. Say you have empty jars. Don't just put them away in your cupboard empty. Fill them up with water. Make them useful. Then if you need them for something else, you can pour out the water and you can use that container. I do all kinds of different ways that I store water. I buy some water bottles. I have some big water containers that I fill up. I also have a few water barrels. But the thing to remember about the barrels is, or the big containers, put them where you're going to have them before you fill them up because water is very heavy. It's like 8.5 pounds per gallon. And if you get, say, a 10-gallon container or a 50-gallon container, you're not going to be able to move it once it's full. So place it where you want it and then fill it up. And if it's just a cement floor, put down even a cardboard box or a piece of wood, something to keep it up off of the concrete or the cement because chemicals can leach out of those kind of surfaces and we want to make sure that we aren't letting anything happen to the water that we're storing. Then just like you want to inspect your food regularly, inspect your water regularly to make sure none of your containers are leaking, that the containers don't look cloudy, and I occasionally will take them out and I'll pour them out into the garden and then refill them with clean water so that I make sure that I have what I need. Prepping doesn't have to be complicated and neither does food storage. We want to prepare to continue the life we have, to make our life go smoothly as possible, for every day to be good as it can be. And that's why I'm a prepper. It's lifestyle insurance that I can still go to my pantry, make a meal for my family and myself. I can still take a bath because I have the soap and shampoo that I need. I can still brush my teeth. I still have clean clothes. Those types of things. Keep your life running smoothly by planning ahead. Get a supply of the things that you count on having and have an extra one in your stockpile. And then you're going to be able to be successful with your prepping, with your food storage, and with your day-to-day life. Let us know in the comments below, what challenges have you faced with your food storage that you weren't expecting, because we want to learn from each other so that we can be prepared to look out for that, to make sure that that doesn't happen to us if possible. I hope you'll like my video, share it, please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.